Mental health is a life sentence without parole. Too many of us carry invisible wounds, trauma, loss, shame, and silence. I created the Crawl, Walk, Run podcast to break that silence, to give a voice to the voiceless. This is not just a show. It is a platform, a place where authors, veterans, artists, survivors, and everyday people can share their truth without fear of judgment. We crawl through the darkness. We walk toward healing. And we run into purpose. Together, we will build this community. This podcast is about resilience, about stories that matter, and about reminding the world that your voice could save someone's life. I'm your host, Steve-O, and this is Crawl, Walk, Run.
When Matthew Melvin started working at a car dealership in South Burlington, Vermont, he never thought that one mistake would lead to a life-changing stint in prison. Feeling he wasn't being paid his full commissions on car sales, he made an impulsive decision to get what he felt he was owed. He hatched a badly thought-out plot to steal a car, sell it as his own, and keep the profits. However, a basic reference and background check quickly revealed that the vehicle's title was not in his name, but still belonged to the dealership. He was arrested and sentenced to prison. While Matthew has taken responsibility for his poor life choices, he believes he has been treated unfairly due to his sexual orientation, religious and political affiliations, and his adult diagnosis of autism. While he and his lawyer argued that his punishment would be best served in a mental health facility, Matt was unfortunately sentenced to 18 months in prison to be served in general population. Terrified and alone, Matthew began his prison term with the best of intentions to keep his head down and serve his time as uneventfully as possible. But being a gay, Christian Trump supporter brought him unwanted and negative attention. He was bullied by cellmates, targeted by gangs, and even raped in one facility. The months he was imprisoned felt like decades, and there were times he doubted he would make it out alive. Bully Behind Bars chronicles Matthew Melvin's life feeling like an outcast, enduring a lonely and friendless childhood, and being punished for a crime that began with the honorable goal of him just trying to make a living.
Mr. Matt, how you doing there, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I go by William Stevens. I'm Steve-O, and I'm going to ask you these three questions, and the floor is yours, man. So welcome to the show. I actually knew that was going to happen because she doesn't give me no respect in the background. So what does crawl, walk, run mean to you?
It's often used in business, military, technology, and personal development to emphasize gradual progress rather than jumping straight to the hardest level.
Well, that was pretty clean cut. How do you define trauma, and do you suffer from it?
Trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience that overwhelms a person's ability to cope, causing feelings of helplessness, diminishing their sense of self, and disrupting their ability to feel a full range of emotions or function normally. I have experienced trauma, and I don't think anyone can ever fully overcome it. I think that in order to benefit from it, I first have to admit that I experienced trauma and then talk about it with other people.
So that being said, what coping mechanisms do you use on a daily basis to forget about your demons? I don't think the demons will ever go away, but we can put them to the side sometimes.
Prayer, reading my Bible, talking about it, journaling, all of those are mechanisms I use to deal with the trauma. I think the worst thing you can do is to isolate and to not talk to anyone about it. Because if you do, then it will just compound itself.
Can I call you Matthew, or do you like Matt?
I like Matt better.
Well, Matt, you have a story, and the floor is yours, brother. And if you get, choked up or anything, you can ask me to help you out. And if not, I'm here. I'm going to listen to you. When we get to the 15-minute point, I'll cut you off and we'll do a public service and then go right back into it.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
I was born in Kingsborough, Massachusetts. Had two neighbors, one to the right of me, which his name was Brian, and he was a bully. And the neighbor to behind us, his name was Tim, and he had an in-ground swimming pool, and he was one of my best friends. He was my only friend at the time. And so I was at a sort of a dichotomy where I had an individual that was picking on me, and then I had my best friend. And I had that for about 6 years. And then in about 1988, my parents made the decision to move up to Vermont, which was the worst mistake they could have made. My father got a job at Franklin County Home Health as a director. And my parents made that decision to move up into Vermont. And it was a very hard change to go from a urban area to a more rural area, and it was very isolating in Vermont, and it was hard to find friends. And I didn't know at that point that I had autism. I wasn't diagnosed until I was about 20 years old. In 2004, I worked at a car dealership, Freedom Nissan. They didn't pay me my commissions, so I impulsively made the decision to try to sell one of their cars, got caught. Judge Jeffrey Crawford and Bob Wolford both decided I didn't meet the mental health criteria to get into the mental health court. If I was allowed into the mental health court and completed it successfully, I may not have a record today. So I went through the regular court, got out, had a record, couldn't find a job. And at that time, I was a lukewarm Christian. I was engaged in the world, doing worldly things 6 days a week, and then going to church on Sunday and trying to have God repair everything that I had done, and then going back to the same lifestyle. And you know what they call that? That's called insanity, doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. 2009, couldn't pass a background check, so I used somebody that I was working with. I used their social security card and driver's license to pass a background check and get a job. I actually did the work, but I did use somebody else's information. The government pursued me for 6 years, spent about $500,000, got a grand jury indictment in 2016 and indicted me. Right before I was indicted, I was actually volunteering at the Ronald McDonald House. In the front desk. Ronald McDonald, for those of you who don't know, is a charity that has parents that have children that have a deadly disease like cancer in the hospital, and they can't pay for it. So that's what I was doing before the government indicted me. And when the government did indict me, I was let go of my volunteer position at the Ronald McDonald House. And I did about 18 months again in 10 different facilities, spent a lot of time in an 8x12 cell because the inmates would tell the guards that I tried to proposition them, and then they would put me in solitary confinement. Of course, that wasn't really true, but inmates will try to do anything to manipulate guards and to doing what they want. At one of the facilities, I was raped by a member of the Aryan Brotherhood. As a initiation, all gang members have to commit a violent act to get into the Brotherhood, the gang. And I survived, and I journaled my entire story because I don't want to have anybody go through what I went through, and I wanted to share my story. And I felt it was cathartic to get my voice out there and just share my testimony, because my testimony is all I have. I got out in 2018, and it took me 4 years to get my book out there.
When Matthew Melvin started working at a car dealership in South.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Keep going. I'm trying to pull up your book, man.
Oh, okay. In August 2015, I was driving on 495 in the middle lane going 72 miles an hour when a Lexus SUV came down an embankment and crossed in front of my car. I was protected within an inch and a half of getting killed by an out-of-control driver. And that was the moment that I turned my life over to God and stopped doing things on my own and really recognized that I needed to stop lying, being deceptive, stealing, and start living a godly lifestyle. And so while I was incarcerated, I was journaling, I was reading my Bible, I was going to every single Bible study that was available, I was educating myself, I was teaching other inmates about the Bible and God. And when I get out, here I am practicing what I preach, talking about Jesus, reading my word. And actually one of the pastors that came in to the facilities, I actually go to his church in New Hampshire. That's my story.
That's it, huh? Well, that was quick.
In a nutshell.
Man, dude.
High level.
So do you help anybody? I mean, do you work with anybody at all? Here's your book right here, man.
Thank you.
You want to talk about your book a little bit?
Yeah, so I wrote my book and it came out in 2022. It was a long process. It took a lot of revisions to get it where I wanted it to be. And it's been on Amazon ever since. You asked me about helping other people. So I started doing men's work in March of 2022. And that's how I help people, by talking about it, by helping men who are willing to be vulnerable, share their story, and help each other. Because we all have challenges. We all have demons that we need to face. And in order to do that, we first have to admit that we have challenges, we have adversity, and what they are. And nobody can help anybody unless they love themselves. That's the key. The first step is loving yourself, forgiving yourself for what you've done, and moving on. Because you can't change the past, you can only change the future.
And we have some links up here. If you want to talk about your links, I got one of your website scrolling at the bottom, and I'm about to put your IG back. I'm about to put your IG on there.
It's up there. Bully Behind Bars on IG, Matthew.Melvin.5621 on Facebook, Bars Bully on X. Bully Behind Bars is my website, and you can email me, bullybehindbars@gmail.com as well.
What are some of the podcasts that you've been on, can I ask?
Sure. David Meltzer, Entrepreneurs on Fire, will be the bigger podcast.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to drop you down for a minute. We're going to do a public service announcement, and we'll come right back in. And then if you're done, man, I mean, that was pretty good, man, for episode 2, man. So you had short and sweet and to the point, man. So we'll get back to you in a second, man.
Sounds good.
Everybody has a story, and Matt has one. So you can reach him on his IG, on his website. I'm going to put that stuff on the link. We're going to be back in 1 second, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes. About 30 seconds.
Crawl, Walk, Run podcast. I'm William A. Stevens Jr., better known as Steve-O, retired Sergeant First Class, founder of 1821 Productions, and now the host of Crawl, Walk, Run podcast, where leadership, resilience, and real talk meet. I'm a 5-time award-winning author, a veteran, and a mental health advocate who's lived through the battles that come after service, the ones you can't see. Through my reflection series, The Mirror, Black Edition, The Broken Mirror, and No Filter, I've given a voice to the voiceless and shown that even in darkness, light still speaks. Now, through the Crawl, Walk, Run podcast, I'm taking that same message to the mic, connected with veteran creators and leaders who crawl through pain, walk through purpose, and learn to run towards something greater. This isn't just a show, it's a movement. I'm not here to impress people. I'm here to impact them, because I've lived it, the trauma, the transition, the fight to rebuild, and I'm still standing, still speaking, still giving a voice to those who can't. I'm Steve-O, host of the Crawl, Walk, Run podcast, voice of the voiceless, speaking head fire.
When Matthew Melvin started working at a car dealership in
So I am going to get this right eventually, man. So in this amazing book that you wrote, you said it took you a long time to write it.
Well, no, it took me a long time to get it edited. Because I'm a supporter, it was very hard for me to find editors that would be willing to help me get my book out there. If Trump wasn't in the title of my book, it probably would have come out exponentially faster.
Okay. So how many pages is your book?
It's around 160.
Okay. And
that's an abbreviated version.
Oh, okay. So you have a longer version.
Well, but nobody's going to read it.
Okay. You have your own official author copy.
No. I mean, yes, in a way, I have my own version handwritten of when I was actually journaling in the prison. Yes. That's pencil, because we didn't have some of the facilities we had pens, others we just had pencils. But when I was in solitary, we weren't allowed pens. So how long were you incarcerated? Both times 18 months. So in 2004, I was the car dealership and the possession of a stolen vehicle. That was 18 months. And then identity theft in 2016, 18 months there too.
Okay. So I don't know if you know it or not, I used to work as a correctional officer trainee. So I worked in a correctional facility here in Pennsylvania. I won't say any names. I don't want any repercussions on me. But I have this thing with the mental health. Mental health is a life sentence without parole. And I believe that because murderers and killers in a prison, they can get parole. They're put up for it. They might not get it. But do you get parole when you have mental health? No, because your demons will always be with you in your mind, body, and soul. Now, do you have anything else that you would like to share?
I would love to be a guest speaker on if anybody who's listening has a group that would like somebody to talk to their at-risk youth. If you know anybody who can connect me with somebody that has speaking engagements, I would love to get my story out there and share what I've been through, because you can choose the sin, you can't choose the consequence. So 10 people commit the same crime, everybody's going to get a different sentence.
Okay. So, do you have anything else that you would like to tell anyone that's listening out there that has any kind of disability, anyone that's imprisoned right now, incarcerated?
You're not alone. When you get out of prison, my best advice is to start talking about your issues, find your community, reach out and start talking about it. The worst thing you can do is to isolate, pretend, stuff emotions, pretend that nothing's going on, because it will come out, and it will come out sideways if it's not addressed properly. Every person is different. What works for them may not work for another person. Therapy for me doesn't do anything. I believe in doing men's work because I am around a whole bunch of men and we're all sharing. To me, going to see a therapist where it's a one-way conversation, it doesn't do anything for me. It's not helpful. But I don't want to negate the fact that every person comes to the table differently. What works for me may not work for another person. So my best suggestion is to try different things, try different outlets, and find out what works for you.
Okay. I'm so sorry about that.
That's okay.
Should have turned that off. Now, after I got this iOS 26, man, it's like my phone wants to do its own thing, man. I can't even turn it off, man. I don't even want to turn it off. Anyways, okay. So, when you were incarcerated, when you were getting ready to leave, do they try to set you up for success when you leave, or they just you're out?
So in the federal system, before you can get out, you have to go to a halfway house, and the halfway house term depends on how much time you had in prison. So when I went to the halfway house, that was actually worse than being in prison. Well, I wasn't raped, praise God, so that was positive. I wasn't allowed to go look for a job. I wasn't allowed to volunteer and really leave the house. And the reason is because my term was so short. I mean, it's very uncommon. Like 18 months in the federal system is a really short sentence. I mean, you've been in corrections, right? 18 months is very, very short. Most sentences are much longer than that.
Okay.
So they didn't really know what to do with me, but I was in this bunkhouse with other guys. It was open. There was no privacy. It was very, very uncomfortable. And at one point, one of the inmates tried to sneak a cell phone in, and then next thing we know, U.S. Marshals show up. Everybody gets strip searched, and it was just a whole mess.
Okay. Where is this?
Where is that? That's in Michigan. There's a Christmas place in Michigan that my friend took me to, and it was It's way out of my comfort zone, but it was fun, once in a lifetime experience.
What's the first thought? What was the first thing that went through your mind when you got out of prison?
I can finally eat food that I enjoy instead of eating hot dogs and beans, which I don't eat. I'm a very big eater, so there were a lot of meals that I just didn't eat.
How old are you, Matt?
I'm 44.
44. So do you live alone? Do you make your own meals and everything?
No, I live with family. I don't cook.
Okay. All right. So yeah. Amazing interview. I believe everybody has some type of past, present, or future trauma, you know? So I thank you very much. I know that you and I have been interacting online, and I hope that you take this podcast and share it with all your friends. Once I get it uploaded, I will give you the link. It'll be on my Facebook and on X, because I saw that you have an X account. I'll follow you on X. I did not know that you had an X account. A lot of technical things going on, man. I've never done a video podcast before. I've done several as a guest, several veteran podcasts, but it's a lot different when you're sitting here touching the screen and doing all kinds of stuff and trying to make you look the best that you need to look, not me, because this is not about me. This is about you, my friend. So thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to drop you down, and I'm going to put this one piece of your book, the back of your book, up. Before we go, because we still have a little bit of time, what is one thing in your book, if you were trying to do a sales pitch to someone that wants to read a genre like your book, what is one thing in your book that you would tell people as the author?
We all have a story, and it's important to keep an open mind and find out what I'm all about. Read my story. Talk to me. Reach out. Happy to answer any questions.
You're the man. I thank you very much for coming on. Mental health is a life sentence without parole. I'll do my closing statement. Hang out. I'll be right back with you after we close out. Gotta love those technical issues, right? I hate when you have to upload on your tablet or your computer and they give you all this fancy stuff and it's got all kind of malware and all kinds of stupid stuff in it. So I am 1821 Productions, Voice of the Voiceless. I'm William Stevens, retired Sergeant First Class, United States Army. Steve-O, I'm going to share this piece of Matt's book. I want y'all to take a peek at this. Until next time, this is Crawl, Walk, Run Podcast, Season 2, and this will drop next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love, peace, and joy. I'm the voice. Have a great evening.
crawl, walk, run has been brought to you by 1821 Productions, voice of the voiceless. If you have a story, please reach out. We are the voice of the unheard.